Good evening, I'm Prasad and you're watching Kini News. It's the first day of Ramadan. Let's make sure we comply with all the SOPs, so maybe there will be a chance to balik kampung this year. But with 1,767 new COVID-19 cases today, we really have a lot of work to do. Moving on to our first story, is DAP a multiracial party? Or is it basically MCA 2.0? Some party figures appear to have varying views on the matter. DAP Central Committee member Ronnie Liew has been slammed by his own party leaders for saying DAP should not belittle or degrade itself just to gain Malay support. Speaking at DAP veteran Liew Ah Kim's book launch in Klang on Sunday, Liew said DAP, while multiracial in nature, should not dilute its Chineseness just to gain Malay support. In a no-holds-barred response, Damansara MP Tony Phua said that Liew is the Chinese chauvinist the party doesn't need. Tony said for decades DAP has been labelled both with justification and often unfairly that they were a Chinese chauvinist party. He said that since 2005, the party under Lim Guan Eng's leadership has made a concerted effort to debunk that label and image. Phua viewed Liew's statement as counterproductive to DAP's philosophy, taking exception to the Sungai Pelik Assemblyperson's call for the party to stick to its overt Chineseness while continuing to call itself a multiracial party. He added that Liew was arguing for DAP to stick to the formula of being the alternative to MCA. Tony said that is perhaps the biggest insult one can throw at the DAP, and that MCA has Chinesed themselves into oblivion today. Meanwhile, Segambut MP Hannah Heo took to Facebook to declare that Liew does not represent her views as a DAP member. She added that Liew doesn't represent her and that the DAP that Liew desires is not the DAP that she joined. She also decried Liew's constant attacks against former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad throughout Pakatan Harapan's 22 months in Putrajaya, saying that such rhetoric added burden to an already challenging task. She said according to Liew, Tun M can do no right and that Anwar can do no wrong. She said though she has stopped listening to Liew a long time ago, this time she could not stay silent. In response to the criticism, Liew denied that he was a chauvinist and that reactions from party colleagues revealed a personal prejudice against him. He explained that his original speech was in Mandarin and that Hannah and Tony added their own misinterpretations and prejudices against him before bashing him. With the DAP party polls set to take place not long from now, the question on what kind of party DAP wants to be is being debated by its members, and quite openly. Internal power struggles in political parties are common. We often see it happen in PKR and now even in UMNO. Now, DAP appears to have internal battles of its own. There could be an effort to oust leaders who embrace the idea of DAP as a multiracial party in the upcoming party election, according to DAP Organising Secretary Anthony Locke. Locke said the highlighting of the party's diversity had caused internal debate among its members.
Kita mesti menerima kepelbagaian. Dan kepelbagaian itu, kita mesti terima Cina, kita mesti terima Melayu, kita mesti terima India dan lain-lain. Dan oleh sebab itu, hari ini, mengapa ada perdebatan dalaman dalam DAP berkenaan bab itu? Oleh kerana kepimpinan DAP sedang berusaha bersungguh-sungguh ke arah satu parti yang lebih menonjolkan kepelbagaian kita.
This came after DAP lawmakers Tony Phua and Hannah Heo criticised Central Committee member Ronnie Liew for urging the party not to dilute its Chineseness.
Itu sebabnya ada kritikan dalaman. Tetapi bagi kita sebagai pemimpin, kita berani menanggung bahawa walaupun mungkin kita akan ada usaha nak menjatuhkan kita dalam pemilihan parti daripada kepimpinan parti. Tetapi itu satu risiko yang kita ambil. Bahawa kita mesti menjelaskan kepada ahli-ahli DAP bahawa DAP adalah parti pembinaan kaum. Dan bukannya parti mewakili satu kaum saja.
Meanwhile, Locke said Liew merely expressed his view, thus what he said should not be seen as a disciplinary issue. COVID-19 cases are accelerating, but mobile phone tracking data shows people are moving about rather freely again. Also, if you like our content, check the link in the description and become a contributor. On Monday, the number of COVID-19 cases continued to exceed recoveries in Malaysia. R0, which measures a disease infectivity, and any number above 1.00 indicates that an outbreak is accelerating in growth. Yesterday, Malaysia recorded an R0 of 1.07, adding pressure to the nation's healthcare system. This means the third wave of the COVID-19 outbreak in Malaysia is far from over, but that hasn't stopped Malaysians from leaving their homes more often than any other time since the movement control order was implemented in March last year. Handphone mobility data shows that as of the end of March, it was only 2% below levels typically seen before the pandemic. The increase came just 2 weeks before Malaysia started seeing a reversal in its gains against the outbreak in recent months. The data was compiled by the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation located at the University of Washington in Seattle and is based on anonymized mobility data from Google, Facebook and Apple. These tech giants had gathered anonymous location data from their users and provided it to researchers and policymakers to help their COVID-19 responses. The location data is used as an indirect yardstick for the extent of which social distancing is being practiced, which in turn is a key measurement of preventing the spread of the disease. According to the data, mobility fell as low as 44% below normal levels, following the introduction of the second MCO in some states and territories in January this year, as the pandemic threatened to overwhelm Malaysia's healthcare system. Nevertheless, the rules were gradually relaxed, with one sector of the economy after another granted exemptions to continue operations. Mobility increased to 41% below normal on February 14th and 23% below normal by the end of the month. It continued its rise to just 2% below the normal level as of the latest available data on March 31st, where it was still on the uptrend with no signs of slowing. For comparison, even in the middle of last year, when Malaysia had few COVID-19 cases, mobility was still 7% below pre-pandemic levels or less.
Shellfish, red meat, and beer. If you love indulging in these foods, you may end up with high uric acid level in your blood. These foods consist high level of purine, a substance that will eventually break down into uric acid and be excreted through our urine. It is recommended that the amount of dietary purines should be kept between 600 to 1000 milligrams per day. Having too much uric acid in your blood can cause attacks of gout. It can also cause kidney stones and blockage in the kidney. The crystallization of the excessive uric acid in your blood can be eased by reducing purine-rich food to only 100 to 150 milligrams daily, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and consuming urinary alkalinizer like Ural. It consists of sodium bicarbonate, citric acid, and sodium citrate that increases the urinary pH and solubility of uric acid to prevent crystallization. Best of all, it's lemon-flavored and sugar-free. Ural, effective urinary alkalinizer. Neutralize your uric acid problem now.
The MRT3 project will be slightly different from the first two because it won't be fully funded by the Malaysian government. The MRT3 project will be partially funded by the private sector.
We're doing our bit, our part, in order to ease the government's burden. We are looking at a hybrid model essentially, and we are looking at how much can we raise through a private initiative, right? In case we are not able to raise through a private initiative, the government is always there to back us up.
MRT Corporation Chief Executive Officer Muhammad Zarif Hashim said between 10 and 30% of the project cost may involve private funding. The previous MRT1 and MRT2 projects were fully funded by Putrajaya through Dana Infra Nasional Berhad, which raised government bonds. Speaking to journalists during a briefing on the revived project in Kuala Lumpur today, Zarif said between 70 and 90% of the MRT3 project cost will still be funded by the government. According to Zarif, MRT3 will include about 30 stations with 10 interchange stations. The total length of the line will be about 50 kilometers, 50% of which will be underground. He said although the overall project could take up to 10 years to build, it will become operational in 5 phases. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. Before we go, if you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.